Hello and welcome to today's edition of Friday Fraud Review, proudly presented by A.M. Simpkins and Associates as a free resource to stay up to date on the latest trends in higher education cyber fraud, as well as the technologies that are being developed to protect institutions and the students they serve all across the country. AMSA founder Maurice Simpkins will be your host, sharing real-life experience, insights from clients, partners, and thought leaders as we continue our mission to rescue higher education from the onslaught of cybercrime and identity theft.
I mean, it almost goes perfectly with the next line of the Educause institutional resilience priorities, the enrollment crisis. You think about so many of the things that we've just discussed here as a group, and how those things affect enrollment. Just flat out thinking that my numbers are inflated, or knowing that my numbers could have been inflated, that's a massive effect on enrollment. What does it mean? Trickle down effect. We have facilities, we have adjuncts, we have the real students who can't get into those classes, which for me that's why I get up and do it every day. That's where I'm passionate about, that all these students who are being prevented from getting into some sort of class because this class has been at capacity, even when, there's data there that may say, hey, this person may not be real, or this person may not be, who they say they are. That's where I really start to, take, I would say, offense to these fraudsters coming into the world of higher education. And so the enrollment crisis, Bob, you've seen it up and down as enrollment has moved through, the different ebbs and flows. But, when you think about the work that the admissions and recruitment and enrollment departments at any and every institution, large or small, is doing, and then you add in fraud and these concerted malicious actors, like what are they to do in trying to combat this enrollment crisis?
Well, the dip in the population is what we're talking about. People weren't having babies 20 years ago, as many as they used to. So there's a huge competition to get these students into your institution. And the admissions people are always pressured to bring the numbers up. It's scary, the number of small liberal arts colleges are no longer here. Up in Massachusetts, we've probably lost, I'd say, maybe a dozen of them over the last 4 years because they couldn't get enough people in there to be viable. So that's another thing that you look at this in terms of revenue, because most of these schools are tuition dependent to survive.
Yeah.
They can't make the payroll. And so there's a lot of different pressure coming from a lot of different places from them. And then it's sort of like the people that are applying with no idea of ever actually staying makes it even worse. And some of these people could go under because of that.
Bob, that's one of the things that I've been doing over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months myself, is doing some research into the amount of schools that have been closing, especially small private institutions that, in their areas, in their regions, serve the niche of students, and looking at the concerted attacks of fraud. Because I would really love if we had the opportunity at AMSA to look through some of the last 3 to 4 semesters of some of those schools that closed recently, through their admissions, some of their applications processes, and see, were they actually victims of fraud? Could they have been saved by a cybersecurity insurance policy versus thinking, hey, we're just not getting butts in the seats? And so there's a lot of aspects that you can think about here. And when you start to, look at the enrollment crisis, but also compare that with, as we say, the number 4 Educause priority is diving deep into the data. When you're looking at the enrollment crisis and you're diving deep into the data, it starts to tell a much, much larger story. Not that, these schools are, for lack of a better way of saying it, or not doing anything about it. It's that they're been inundated. And a lot of these schools have been the victims. And so now when they have such cloudy data, and so Bob used to say this all the time to me, bad data in, bad data out. When they have such cloudy data in their system, how are they even going to get the benefit of a deep data dive? Like if I want to say, hey, we want to hook this up to some sort of tool, maybe an AI tool or maybe some sort of data lake. And now I want that system to be able to aggregate data between all of my systems. How do I know that those analytics are real? Eric mentioned earlier, 15% of your people could be fake. What do you do about that? Because now that data started in one system and is now matriculated through every other system within your institutional infrastructure. And so this causes massive, massive problems.